Hey everyone, this is weather forecaster Liam, and we have a lot going on in the world of weather today. First, Tropical Storm Cristobal is just a few hours away from making landfall on the Louisiana coast. Some evacuation orders have been put in place as Cristobal could bring over 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, over half a foot of rainfall, and multiple feet of storm surge. We'll have everything you need to know on that, and also a severe weather threat today for the northern plains and Midwest, as strong severe thunderstorms are expected to develop this evening that could bring large hail, strong winds, and tornadoes. I will have TRA weather predictions, Torcons, National Hurricane Center forecast cone, and more. All this is coming up right here on TRA Weather. Alright, today is June 7, 2020. Let's start off, as always, with a look at the National Weather Service hazards map, where we actually have a lot going on right now. Let's first start off in the western half of the United States, where we have a lot of red flag warnings in place due to high fire conditions, and those are caused by low humidity levels and dew points. Now, a little further on to the north, we actually have some freeze watches and warnings in place due to some very unseasonably light cold air across the northwestern United States, and in addition to that, we're going to have some moisture, so we're actually going to see some snowflakes falling in the higher elevations in the northwestern United States, where we actually have some winter weather advisories in place across portions of Oregon, Idaho, northwestern Wyoming, and southwestern Montana. Now shifting over to the eastern half of the United States, where most of the action is in the southeastern portion, across Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, and even extending into some portions of southern Missouri, where a lot of flash flood watches and flood watches are in place. And a little further to the south of that, in that dark red shaded color, that is tropical storm warnings in effect for some portions of Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana due to Tropical Storm Cristobal. And Tropical Storm Cristobal could bring over 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, over half a foot of rainfall, and possibly 3 to 5 feet of storm surge. So now let's head on over to a few products from the National Hurricane Center. First, starting off with the 2-day graphical tropical weather outlook. Thankfully, no additional development is expected over the entire Atlantic Ocean over the next 2 days, though of course we still have Tropical Storm Cristobal to talk about over the Gulf of Mexico, just off the coast of Louisiana. That's just a couple hours away from making landfall. Though here's the National Hurricane Center forecast cone. Thankfully, this will not become a hurricane. Even if it would become a very weak hurricane, impacts aren't going to be that much of a difference from what they are going to be from Tropical Storm Cristobal. So, as the latest advisory says, this is moving north at 12 miles per hour and has maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour, a medium-grade tropical storm. But you can see how large that tropical storm wind extent is, almost all the way from the Florida Panhandle into some portions of central Louisiana. And that is why there's a lot of tropical storm warnings, as I showed you just a little bit ago, along the coast of Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. So in a few hours, it will make landfall in Louisiana, make its way northwestward over the next few days, and then it'll eventually make an eastern turn as it gets into portions of the Midwest. And over the Midwest, we could actually see some pretty decent rainfall amounts, as well as some gusty winds, and maybe even a severe thunderstorm threat over the next upcoming days. And now over to the tropical storm force wind speed probabilities, where you can see much of southeastern Louisiana and southern Mississippi have near 100% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds, as most of those areas in southeastern Louisiana and southern Mississippi already have. However, once you start getting into portions of Arkansas, central Mississippi, southwestern Alabama, and very western Florida, those chances go down between 30 and 5%. Now, I do think some areas in southern Alabama will see some tropical storm force winds, and also portions of central Mississippi. Then once we start getting to Arkansas and even the very western Florida Panhandle, I see those chances of that happening very low. And now over to the peak storm surge forecast. Now, much of the coast, in fact all the coast that faces the Gulf of Mexico in the state of Florida, only has a 1 to 3 feet maximum storm surge from Tropical Storm Cristobal, which is very good news. However, once you start getting to the southern Alabama, Mississippi coast, and even the southeastern Louisiana coast, storm surge between 2 and 5 feet is possible, and that's when storm surge really starts causing some problems, especially how close the state of Louisiana is to sea level, in some cases even below sea level. Now we're really going to have to watch the potential for some flooding due to storm surge within the state of Louisiana, also southern Alabama and Mississippi. So now let's head on over to the TRI weather wind speed. This is going to be from the GFS model, and this is for 2 p.m. Eastern time today. You can see how close Tropical Storm Cristobal is from making landfall on the southeastern Louisiana coast. Currently has a center maximum low pressure of 996 millibars and is bringing between 45 and 50 mile per hour wind gusts to Alabama, Mississippi, and southeastern Louisiana. Now later on this afternoon into tonight, those wind gusts will die down just a little bit, but mainly remain around 35 to 40 miles per hour, again along southern Alabama, Mississippi, and southeastern Louisiana. Now forward one more time to very late tonight going into tomorrow morning. Still have wind gusts around 25 to 35 miles per hour, though once you start getting to tomorrow morning, those wind gusts will die down, hopefully to not tropical storm force anymore. Though what I think is going to be the main concern from Tropical Storm Cristobal is the rainfall potential, how much flooding could be expected across portions of the southeast and eventually into portions of the Midwest. So here's your TRI weather rainfall forecast from the GFS model for now and until Wednesday. You can see some portions across Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana could see between 6 to 8 inches of rainfall, maybe even isolated pockets more than that. And once you start getting further north into Arkansas and Missouri, that actually doesn't light up too much at all. Still have areas, a lot of areas, seeing 3 to 5 inches of rainfall, and also isolated pockets of 6 to 8 inches. But once we start getting to the northern plains and portions of the upper Midwest, we actually see that rainfall enhance more across Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, where again, the potential for 6 to 8 inches of rainfall, maybe even more than that, is possible within those regions. This is the GFS model. Go over to the European model, almost shows the exact same thing, except a little more aggressive on the rainfall, with areas in the southeastern United States that could reach a foot of rainfall, though I think that's overdoing it just a little bit. I think the GFS model has this forecast down pretty good, though not saying it's out of the question across southern Alabama, Mississippi, and southeastern Louisiana from Tropical Storm Cristobal. Alright, now let's take a look at the storm hazards from Tropical Storm Cristobal. Okay, so thankfully this is not a hurricane and it is only a tropical storm, which is very good news. However, both rain, tornadoes, wind, and power outages are all at risk levels 3 out of 5, and in fact, flooding is higher at a risk level 4 out of 5 for isolated pockets of 8 to 10 inches and maybe even more than that. Though thankfully lightning, storm surge, and ocean temperatures are only at risk levels 2 out of 5, though do keep in mind if you do live in the southern portions of Alabama, Mississippi, and the very eastern half of Louisiana, you could see some storm surge between 3 and 5 feet. So definitely watch that storm surge if you live within those areas in particular. And the hazardous area is the southeast and south central United States, and the expected time is now through Tuesday. So let's time it all out. Here's the future radar forecast, first from the NAM model for the eastern half of the United States. We're going to start off at 1 p.m. Eastern time today. You can see there is Tropical Storm Cristobal just off the coast of Louisiana, bringing some 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts to Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, and even some outer rain bands to northern Florida and southern Georgia. Now we go forward to 6 p.m. Eastern time this evening. It looks to be Tropical Storm Cristobal just makes its way inland, bringing still some very heavy rain to both Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So going to have to watch that this evening and overnight tonight for the potential of some flash flooding in addition to that storm surge. Forward again to 9 p.m. Eastern time tonight, we now shift our focus over in the northern plains in Midwestern United States, where we actually have some severe thunderstorms that develop across Minnesota, the Dakotas, and Nebraska. And some of those could definitely be very severe with large hail, very strong winds, and tornadoes. I'm all expecting those tonight across, again, the northern plains and portions of the upper Midwest. Now, thankfully, as the night goes on, those storms will eventually weaken, though it's going to take a while for them to do so. There's a lot of energy and, sadly, a lot of spin in the atmosphere along, again, the northern plains and Midwestern United States. Now we're into 10 a.m. Eastern Time Monday morning. Tropical Storm Cristobal is now in northern Louisiana, still bringing some moderate to heavy rain across the southeastern United States region. So now we shift over to the GFS model, still in the eastern half of the United States. Tropical Storm Cristobal will continue to make its way northward, then eventually make its way a little further to the east, or an eastward shift, if you will, come Tuesday, and eventually into Wednesday, it'll be over possibly Canada, just bringing some light to moderate rain showers across the Midwestern United States. Now let's head over to our TRA weather prediction for today and tonight. You can see some portions of the southeast are under a high risk for seeing severe thunderstorms, mainly across western Florida, southern Alabama, Mississippi, and much of the state of Louisiana. Though into the north central United States, we actually have a very high risk for seeing severe thunderstorms across much of the state of Minnesota, southeastern North Dakota, and central and eastern South Dakota. Outside of that, the high risk for seeing severe thunderstorms shaded in red, the medium risk for seeing severe thunderstorms shaded in yellow, and then the low risk for seeing severe thunderstorms shaded in green. Now, New Orleans, you're under a high risk for seeing severe thunderstorms today, and Orlando and Tampa are under a medium risk for seeing severe thunderstorms today and tonight. So last but not least, over to our TRA weather torcons for again today and tonight. Now with these tropical systems, they tend to produce a lot of quick spin-up tornadoes, so that's why I have torcons of 3 through 4 in effect for much of that area that was under that high risk for seeing severe thunderstorms due to Tropical Storm Cristobal across western Florida, southern Mississippi, Alabama, and much of the state of Louisiana. But further to the north, there's actually torcons of 5 through 6 across much of northern Minnesota, southeastern North Dakota, and central and eastern South Dakota. Outside of that, torcons of 3 through 4 shaded in yellow, and torcons of 1 through 2 shaded in light green. Now, New Orleans, you're under torcon values of 3 through 4, and Minneapolis and Orlando are under torcon values of less than 1. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and share this with family and friends or whoever you would think that would enjoy watching TRA weather, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And also check out the links listed below to both my Twitter and Instagram pages, and also an invite link to my weather Discord channel. Thank you. See you next time.